This week on What I Heard, you get to listen in to a conversation at Parlor Donuts that I had with Chris Shadwin, Chris Weatherly, and Will Hess. And we talk about the high priesthood and Passover and some other wild things. So I hope you enjoy it. This is What I Heard.
Okay, so tell Will about the priest stuff after
the priest stuff.
Oh man, this is my favorite thing about Easter this year that I read. That on the Day of Atonement they have two goats, and one goes to Azazel, whoever that is, out in the wilderness.
So, you probably don't realize this, but this is actually my jam. I have a book in editing right now that's over 300 pages that is about the Atonement. So keep going. This will be good.
So I'm reading. Now I have to cite my sources. So I'm reading the Jewish New Testament commentary, and he mentions this thing in there about the Azazel, the goat for Azazel. They would wrap a scarlet cloth around his horns. Go in, do the sacrifice, come out, set the Azazel loose, and his cloth would turn white as a sign
of cleansing.
The Day of Atonement.
So you've heard of this? Okay.
40. This is a thing they're complaining about, the corruption of the priesthood in the Talmud, some Talmud, and 40 years before the destruction of the temple. I've hit the table. 40 years before the destruction of the temple, that quit working, and it didn't turn white.
Interesting.
And
I actually didn't know that part.
It got torn. The temple got destroyed in 70 AD, so 40 years before 70 AD would be 30, which would be Jesus dying on the cross.
I know.
And everything breaking. It all broke. The whole law.
Well, because the eternal flame. You said
The fire, in the same thing, the fire that they kept burning, they couldn't keep it lit. The bread that they would eat that would sustain them wouldn't sustain them anymore. They had to eat other food to add to it.
So was this in the Talmud? Was that recorded at that time? Were these priests documenting this, or is this looking back?
So the Talmud is I don't know how familiar are with the Talmud.
The William Davidson Talmud, about this text here. Tractate Yoma, located in Cedar Moed, the Order of the Festivals, 8 chapters.
What?
450 to 550 CE.
Yep. So the Talmud is compiled later. So it's basically, you'll hear people say this all the time, like, well, the Jews really don't like Jesus because the Talmud says some very nasty things about him. But also the Talmud says a lot of very nice things about him. The reason why it says it's a compilation of various rabbis throughout the ages, and it's basically them arguing, battling about different issues within Judaism. So it's just if you get yourself a Talmud, you're going to get yourself a library that goes from here to the end of that table.
Because it's thousands of years of discussion.
It's just hundreds of years of them doing that, and then also them giving little tidbits like that, like, hey, this happened in history. So it's just a very large document.
So how is it different than a midrash?
Midrash is more like towards your navel. It's got.
Shut up, man.
So
I'm working on
it. The Talmud's more up here.
So the midrash, it's my understanding, is more the actual oral tradition of how those things were applied. Where the Talmud is the discussion of various points. So
the commentary I was reading quoted Talmud.
Yep.
So then I was like, this cannot be real. This is too good to be true. So then I looked up and I found this, and it's like YouVersion.
Yeah, is it?
It's like the
Safaria.
Safaria.
Yep.
What is that?
It's all their stuff. It's
a Jewish site.
Yep. Oh. Safaria and Chabad would be your two favorites.
So it's not just something that somebody made up. And like,
no. Like, look, here's all the different books and things.
What gets interesting is that
3,000 years of Jewish texts.
So do they still write Talmud today? Or is there still arguments in the Jewish.
That's my knowledge. Like they still argue about stuff, but the Talmud's not.
But they still quote modern
Christians don't argue
Yeah.
stuff.
Because like
Rashi and others.
the thing in Miami Beach, what's it called? The thing where you can't leave so much of your property on the Sabbath.
Yeah.
So they have a wire. I think it's in Miami. It's not Miami, but it's in a suburb of Miami. They have a wire that connects to their neighborhood so that you can go to the beach on the Sabbath, and you're still not.
Technically, haven't left.
You haven't left your property. You're still.
You're so tied to it.
Yeah.
What?
There's one in
sounds
New
like
York
cheating.
too.
That sounds like an Amish using cell phones. That's not connected. That's not a wire connecting it to electricity.
What is that thing called? It's not an air. I thought it was an Eratz, and that gives me Taylor Swift Eras tour.
But back to your Talmud thing. So you're saying that was documented. Well, what is
450?
450? No, it's not
That'd be
80. That's
Yeah,
it's
CE would be 80.
Oh,
Yeah,
it is okay.
Yeah, common era. So,
Okay.
But it's still so it depends on who you ask and how accurate that stuff is. Certain people are like that. No, the Talmud is just trash because it came away later. I'm of the opinion that it's actually not. Same with Midrash and the Mishnah, which are all like these things that were compiled later, but because they were the Jewish people were an oral people before they're writing. And like when you're talking about like we're over here like, hey, my 6th grader memorized 3 verses, and I'm like, their 12-year-olds have the entire Torah memorized.
Right.
You know, I don't think.
Good job.
So for me, I am of the opinion that it's probably accurate, but there's debate because there's debate amongst everything. But
So when did they start? I mean, there was obviously scrolls and stuff. So when did they start writing? It is largely oral tradition, but I mean, it wasn't like they didn't write anything down.
right. Well, so it depends on different parts. So different parts they did, like obviously Torah they kept, various parts of the Dead Sea Scrolls as we see. Right. But they didn't write down every single parts of their teaching. That just wasn't what they did. That's actually kind of what made the gospel accounts themselves so unique if they're written by the eyewitnesses because and then people are like, well, they were written so much later, like 30, 40, 50, blah, blah years after, you know, this event. Why, you know, I'm like, well, they're Jewish authors besides Luke. Like, it makes sense that an oral culture is like, we're getting old. He hasn't returned.
Get to work. Somebody else is like, I am not going to be able to remember everything you're telling me. I have to write down these stories.
So, but
That's the joke about audiobooks. Is the audiobook count as reading books because when they started, all books were audiobooks.
that's funny.
Good point.
So
I still say book on tape, but people like
Book on tape.
Jimmy's like, what is a book on?
What is a tape?
I said that when I preached. I was like, yeah, I got a book on tape. I was like, audio book. Here I am, dating myself.
make myself old.
book on tape.
No, it's actually cool. So on the Day of Atonement, the Azazel or Azazel, depending who you ask, it's actually in
Heard it both ways.
ancient Mesopotamia was considered a demonic figure, and it could have been like a satanic figure. Where because if you get to ancient Mesopotamia, like not just in the Torah but in other writings, there are different people that are kind of called the chief of evil, essentially. So what we would call Lucifer, which really is just a Latin word, but so as the whole point of that is we're taking, so if Israel is the new Eden, which is the idea, right? Everything else is perfect. We're the new Eden, and God now dwells here, not in the garden. He dwells here among us. And the idea is that we take the sin and we cast it out. We put it back into the underworld where it belongs to the evil.
We're really casting it out.
We're literally like, go, get out of here, go, and then they purify with the other guy.
So you're sending the evil out to evil to be with other evil.
Yep, and that's why they confess their sins over, because like it doesn't belong here. It doesn't belong among us. Get rid of it.
And then at some point, they didn't want it to come back into the camp. So instead of just releasing it,
They threw it
they
over.
released it off the side of a cliff.
Yeah.
We're going to set it free.
Because what if that wandering goat came back and was like, hey guys,
Don't touch it. Don't touch it.
Unclean.
Everybody's
Okay.
jumping out of the way of it.
So here's a new topic for your reporting.
Oh,
It's
man.
the hot topic right now.
Oh, wait. Can I hit the index button? Look,
Is there a
look at
marker?
this. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
All right, Mark.
Let's talk about the red heifer.
The red heifer.
It's like all in my feeds.
Nope, we're going to come back. You just started a loop. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Yeah.
Red
No.
heifer.
I mean,
do it.
I just learned about. It's in my feed. It's like
That one guy's podcast.
if you subscribe to that, I guess dispensationalism. Maybe is that the right thing?
Yeah, that would probably be right.
So you have to believe.
Dispensationalism?
So
Is that
what?
you said?
Or a historical premill. Keep going.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So Christians, okay, according to the internet and dispensationalists, Jesus can't come back until there's the abomination of desolation. So there has to be, for that to happen, there has to be a third temple, right?
Right.
So there has to be a third temple built. Well, before there's let's go back. Before
gotta
there's a
have
third
sacrifices.
temple, you have to have a sacrifice to prepare yourself for
Purify the
and that requires a red. I want to say Red Bull, a red heifer.
Red Bull.
Yeah. A red heifer.
Illuminati confirmed.
The Monster Energy drink. That teaching on the Monster Energy drink.
So,
Oh yeah, that's 666.
a red heifer. And this red heifer has to be almost perfect.
Yeah.
So apparently 3 to 5 of them were sold from America to Israel. The whole Temple Institute and all those
Yes.
guys are like, oh, we
They have
found,
them.
we
They're
have
breeding
them.
them.
They have them.
Yes.
Is it Wagyu beef? Is that what red heifer?
They'd be worth a lot more.
Wait, but there is an actual red.
Yes. So
There's red hair.
it's documented.
Yeah, so it's like a ginger.
It's a brownish red, right?
It's a ginger.
It's not a bright
Ginger
red.
beef.
So apparently, there's 3 or 4 in existence in Israel now that came from America, and they have to be sacrificed before they're 3 years old, and they also have to be. They can't have any white hairs or anything. So anyway, this exists. Apparently, there's an altar already built. Everything's ready to go.
All the
and
clothes,
people are like,
all the
oh,
clothes are ready to
so
go.
the hot topic is because people, April 22nd is the Passover this year. So they're like, oh, it might happen then. So that's the conspiracy.
Then everyone thinks it's going to come out. But I mean, this is also coinciding with the whole eclipse and all that, which I just did a whole video debunking.
So no,
There's an earthquake.
I'm not sure
Taiwan
I
just had an
subscribe. No, but here was the interesting thing. So in the middle of all that, so there's only been 9 sacrifices. So 9 in the history of Judaism. There's only been 9 red heifers sacrificed. But if you look at Jesus, he would be number 10. If you believe strongly in symbolism,
Because
he would be the
this red
10th.
heifer for
So Jesus was a redhead.
sacrifice.
It's just in.
Well, it's a sacrifice to purify yourself before you go into the temple. Isn't that right?
The what one?
The red heifer is the sacrifice in preparation
Yes, yeah.
to enter the temple, or
Yeah. So it's like the one that you do. Yeah,
It's not the Day of Atonement.
No, it's not the
No,
Day of Atonement.
it's
It's
not
the
the Day
one
of
because they
Atonement.
always sacrifice a bull before that. To purify
Yeah.
before.
Is the red heifer like? Is that biblical?
So, yeah.
Is this
Oh, yeah.
a red heifer? Okay.
yeah. So there's been 9 up to before
But
Christ.
why only 9? Does the Day of Atonement?
Well,
is that
because you did it at the tent of. How many temples have been built?
Oh,
It's
like
like-
to dedicate a new temple.
Yeah, so like
Or
the tent of
new-
meeting, they sacrificed in preparation for
So
that, right?
Ezra and Nehemiah would have sacrificed one
Yeah,
when they rebuild the temple after
Yes.
Babylonian captivity.
yeah.
So yeah, it's like a dedication thing
Okay.
too.
Yeah.
So yeah, everyone's been losing their mind over it because that's why the Jews are doing it. And that the red heifer one probably had for me a way more credibility than the eclipse because that's actually you could actually pull from the Bible with the red heifer stuff.
Yeah.
So, but for me, I'm like. I don't know. Whenever anyone's trying to force prophecy, which is basically what they're trying to do, and I'm like,
Oh yeah.
I'm like, okay.
I mean, but they'll even admit like they're evangelical Christians who are like giving money to the Temple Institute and like trying to create these events to happen because they think these things have to happen before Jesus comes back. So they want to be a part of it, which I think their heart's right, maybe.
Right.
But I don't know. I just found it interesting. I was like, for me, I would subscribe more to Jesus symbolically being because 10 is a number of completion in the Bible, right? So 7 and 10s are complete. So
Of him
that
being
would
the
be he would be the ultimate sacrifice.
Cleanse the temple.
Yeah. Now, obviously, Jewish people don't accept that, and maybe. Oh well, and then the other conspiracy theory is that Hamas attacked Israel because they knew they had the heifers and they don't want that to happen, so they were trying to get to them. I don't know how true
Lordy.
that is.
So I was thinking about the red
I
heifer.
know. I'm just like, this is
Not
getting
not because I think I did not know the April 26th thing.
22nd.
22nd.
That's all right.
I better get it right.
I didn't
though.
either. I only learned because
It's
I
a
watched.
long
It's in
day.
my feed on YouTube.
So, but the red heifer thing has come up in my feed, and I was thinking about that. And if the sacrifice doesn't work anymore, then that won't work either.
Well,
Well,
that's
it's just killing an animal.
Right.
I mean, they have it's basically just sacrificing. There's no but supernatural.
But
to
I'm
it.
curious of what they're expecting
Yes.
if it doesn't work. If there is spiritual stuff to it,
Do they have
that
to have the
doesn't
symbol
work.
built first, or they sacrifice it and then build the temple?
According to the interwebs, it's a preparation before the temple is built.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, sin offering is a bull. What I love about that, if I sin, if we're neighbors, and I cannot take a whole bull to the temple for my sin sacrificed by myself, right? So there's like this built-in, God builds in this accountability of I'm gonna come next door and be like, hey, can you help me? I gotta go to the temple with this bull. You're gonna be like, Sully, dude, we took a bull yesterday. What are you doing? A sin offering was not doves, and it was not a tiny lamb. You had to take.
Oh, really?
Bull.
It had to be a bull for sin offering?
So it is a really.
That's a huge.
You need other
Costly.
people. You need other people. You need help. You need help from others.
To drag a bull.
Not just because it's expensive,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but to manage your sin, you need other people to help you.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You know, the red heifer thing.
To call it accountability.
I'm not a dispensationalist though, so
I know you're not, and
So-
I don't lean into it either.
So I'm like,
I don't.
That was awesome.
My come to Jesus.
So I actually have a lot more, like, when it comes to just a plain futurist view, like, historical, like the historical, it's called, like, Chileism or something. Anyway, I actually have a lot more respect for that than a lot of other, because it's actually, like, in the early church. Like, if you go all the way, you can find some of that here. I'm Amil partial preterist in my view, but if I had to be anything else, it'd be the Chileans. Like, yeah, if it was like if this blew up in my face, I was like, okay, actually that didn't work out, then that would be the next.
Yeah.
So I tell people all the time, I'm flirty. I'll flirt with it over here, like, you know, she's flirty. I am flirty. She's kind of cute and all, but like I'm not sure if I want to commit.
Well, yeah. I mean, I love what Brett taught on it. He's like, I'm partially. What did he say? Partially preterist and partially. He didn't say futurist. He said
Idealist.
dispensationalist.
Is it idealist or?
I think he said dispensationalist.
Okay, gotcha.
But I don't think he meant it again in the
Right, well,
full
because
sense of it.
dispensationalist is very loaded, unfortunately.
Yes.
There's also camps within the camp.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
It's-
totally.
Dean is
I used to
currently
go to
ordering
church
McDonald's.
in Michigan. I was an elder at Frontline Bible, and they're a mid-acts dispensational church, and their stuff was maddening sometimes. They're like, well, no, that. I'm like, what? No, what are you doing? No, that's not what that is at all. You stop. You're getting out of control.
But yeah, Brett's like, he understands. He's like, some of these things in Revelation have happened, but also he would say, but sometimes prophecy is layered.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like it will happen, but then it also means future events. But the biggest sticking point that he mentioned was in 1948, Israel became a nation, and none of us saw that coming. So dispensationalists would say, see, they are coming back to the land, and the Bible said so, and they are becoming a nation again. That's in the dispensational camp.
Right.
And that was completely unpredicted.
Right, and most
Right.
yeah,
It's totally
Well, that's
crazy.
why-
most people didn't think it could happen.
Right.
It's just funny you mentioned like the red heifer. So a friend of mine was messaging me about this yesterday because he has a family. They were really bought into this whole thing, and that was his takeaway, which was, but he was like, Will, like what? I'm like, look, dude. I was like, bottom line is, I think we're all going to go to heaven one day
Yeah.
and find out that we're all very wrong on a lot of
We are
prophecies.
too. Oh yeah,
because-
100%.
Because if I see the way, like, if you're reading the Gospels, like, he did this to fulfill, and you go back to the passage he fulfilled, and you're like,
Wait a minute. There's
if
more
I
stuff.
squint and turn my head, I could see that, but I would never would have read that
Yeah.
and considered it like, oh, that's definitely like.
Yes.
So it's like some of it is awkwardly fulfilled, kind of on purpose, and I think it's like God's way of making sure that we're digging, we're alert,
Right.
and we're also not like
Seeking it out.
yeah, we're also not trying to kill each other over it. Like it's supposed to be something we're prayerful and watchful over, and
The riding on a donkey, though, that was pretty obvious. But you go back and look at it like, oh, yeah, it gave it on a donkey.
yeah. So we'll see with Isaiah 53, the suffering servant dying for the sins of the people. You're like, read it, and it's like, by his stripes we are healed. You're like,
What?
That checks out.
you read like it's different parts of the Psalms, and like my enemies encompass me, they pierce my hands, they pierce my side. You're like,